Okay, so we're back and we have our beautiful block shape here. And I'm going to continue running with my hamburger analogy because it kind of is helpful for conceiving of the shape here. There's 4.5 inches between the bottom of the top bun and the top of the bottom bun. I'm going to add a measuring object to sort of judge what I'm doing inside here. Let's add a cube. So I can click on these 3 lines and just hit 4.5. And now I'm going to move it on the y-axis. That's 4.5 inches. And if I tab into this, I can see I have a line here and a line here that are almost at those measurements. So you can see here, this circuit here and this circuit here are basically those two, the top and the bottom of the bun. I'm going to go into face, just where I finish this curve and just where I finish this curve. Every face in between these two, I'm going to remove and turn that into a separate object. So let me go here, and I'm in orthographic view, which makes it absolutely doable. And I've selected all of those, and my block is now essentially symmetric. And I'm going to hit P, and then I hit selection. Now you'll see it's grayed out. I can't work with it anymore. If I tab into this object here, you'll see I now have the top bun and bottom bun. Now in the center here, I want to divide that into these parts here. These 2 blocks here, these 2 blocks here, and this center slice. So I'm going to go back into my orthographic view, number pad 1. I'm going to tab in here. If I'm selecting faces here, if I select these 2, I need a little bit more than that in that center block, center piece, right? So I'm going to hit Control plus, make that thing. Now, I'm going to do SZ for this section here, and then I'm going to hit P again to make it another selection. I now have my hamburger stack. I have my buns, I have my hamburger patty, we'll call it, and then I have these 2 filler blocks. And I can get rid of this because I'm not measuring anymore. And what I'm going to do for this piece, I'm going to go to Automirror. This, by the way, is a plugin that's included in Blender. You can find these by going into Blender Preferences, Add-ons, and then selecting what you need. It is in Mesh Automirror. That's one of my edit tools. Loop Tools is in here. Very important. So I want this to be mirrored on the Z-axis. If I go in, I now have this object, and I can see it's not 100%. The other one wasn't 100% symmetrical. It was a little bit deeper. But what I want to do here is I actually want to edit this because I want a face here because this block of wood, there is a face of wood here, and it actually is a little bit lower. So I'm going to go into my edge mode here. So I'm going to go GZ because I think that's where I am. Now, when I tab in, I'm going to go to my vertices here. I'm going to make a face in the center here. So now I have a face. It's a quad. So let me see what happens. I'm just going to do face, 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 face. And then I have one triangle here. That's not so bad. I can live with it. By the way, this is really confusing, and I've gotten accustomed to it. If you're not comfortable looking through an object and selecting those vertices, I'm going to hide it here. So I'm now not using this X-ray mode, and I can select here, and I'm going to hit fill, and now I have mostly quads on this beautiful burger bun at the top and bottom of this block. This center seems a little bit wide to me. So let's go into orthographic mode, and I'm looking at the actual object, and this thing is too tall. So I'm going to scale it on the Z-axis. So that's how I want that piece to be, and I know I want that to be a solid thing. And because I know that the topology here created that, I'm just going to hit F. I'm making that little triangle, and now I can power fill all the way across. See, this object is here. I can auto mirror at Z. So I now have the 3 basic sandwich elements of my block. So now I just need to make these guys. So I'm going to bring this cube back, and I'm going to mirror it on Z. If I tab in, I can select all. I'm going to move it on the Z axis because I want it to be there. And if you look at this photograph here, show it to you very closely, you can see there are spaces between here. So I want to have that in my model. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to expand this a little bit on the Z axis. So I'm going to go in here as Z, and there it is. Now, how do I make this look like what I want here? So if you look at these pieces of wood, there's grooves that go through it north-south. I'm going to call this the x-axis north-south, north-south. And there is a hole cut. So each of these pieces here is it's actually 4 little pieces. Because I have this mirrored on the Z-axis, I can also mirror it on the Y-axis. So I'm only modeling a quarter of each of these. So now I only have to do one side of one of these. Basically, I want to cut this whole thing this way with a scoopy groove. I'm going to create another object. I'm going to add a mesh here. I'm going to add a cube, scale it on the Z-axis so it's nice and short. Let me go into this view, GZ. Okay, and I want it to be a little bit wider because I want it to cut all the way through. I'm going to move this on the Y-axis because what I want to edit is this thing here. I want to cut a scoop out of here and a scoop out of here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tab in, and I want to bevel the edges of this thing. So I'm going to go into edge mode. I could click here, but my shortcut is to press 2. And I'm just going to show you, because I didn't apply rotation and scale, what happens here. The bevel modifier seems broken. Look, why isn't it making a curve? Oh, it's terrible. It's making a little bit of a curve. I can see that, but that's not what I want. I'm going to tab out. I'm going to hit Control A, rotation and scale. So I've now applied rotation and scale to this. So if I tab in here and I select that edge and this edge and I hit Control B, oh no, that's not right either. So let's do that again. I'll show you. You can try to eyeball it so you come exactly to where you need it to be, but oh no. So an easy way to fix that is to apply clamp overlap. And now I know I have a perfect arch here and it meets in the center. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to click on this object. If I tab in, you'll see there's only one. Well, here, let me. I've only got this much of it. And I'm going to add a modifier, generate, boolean. I'm going to get difference, and I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to apply it. Now this object, GZ, let me get rid of this. Let me get this one. Now, because I've made it a difference, I've got all this extra topology from this original object. I don't want that. Right now, this object is is the same east-west. So I'm going to go back into my edit tools here, and I'm going to Automirror on the x-axis. So I'm going to extrude this vertex up. I'm going to extrude this vertex down. I'm going to fill here and fill here. And I'm going to fill here. And I'm going to fill here. Okay, so now this object is very much the same here. These two vertices seem a little, I'm going to scale these on the Z-axis. Select all here, and then do merge vertices by distance. That's going to clean up. If I have any duplicate verts on here, that would clean it up. But now that I know I don't have any dupes, I can actually do this. So I'm going to do that power fill. I'm going to fill here, and then I selected these two verts, and then I just hit F, and I will go all the way around this object. So now I have a solid object that is this shape. So if I go out of X-ray mode and I hide this and I hide this, you can now see I have a piece of wood. I'm going to delete that because everything. And now I know that these cuts here, this cut here is the same as this cut here because I have the object in hand. Now here's my original cutting object. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees on the Z-axis by typing RZ90. Now I go back into my one mode, and I bring this up, and there it is. Once again, it's a little GZ. I want it to be a little bit bigger than that object, and I want it to be right there. Now I'm going to go back into, this is my X-ray mode. I'm going to click these and move them on the X-axis until I have approximately that amount of bevel here. But on the bottom of this model, these are flat, of the actual object. These are flat. So that's why when I'm in this view, I can now take the square end and move it to where I think it is. And it's actually a little more. It shows more of that bevel, but it's about there. And now I'm going to cut this shape out of this object. So I'm on this object, and I'm going to do generate boolean. I'm going to select that object, and now I can see that I have two separate pieces here. So let me apply this, and I'm going to delete this because I don't need it anymore. And now you can see that my block pieces look exactly like they should look, and I know I want to mirror them on the y-axis. So there they are, Z on negative, but I want Z on positive. So I'm going to hit Automirror Z. I have those pieces just as they are on here. So now we have our basic shape. In the next episode, we're going to do the wheels.